objection. Genesis 8, 4 through 5. Then the ark rested in the 7th month, the 17th day of the month, on the mountains of Ararat. And the waters decreased continually until the 10th month. In the 10th month, on the first day of the month, the tops of the mountains were seen. So there's the quote. Here's the claim. If taken literally, the above contradicts Genesis 8 and 9, which reads, quote, but the dove found no resting place for the sole of her foot, and she returned into the ark to him, for the waters were on the face of the whole earth, end quote. Excuse me. So the objection I have to this passage is, as you can see in the photos behind me, a boat can rest on land that is completely submerged in water, so there is no reason to assume any sort of a contradiction here. The ark can indeed be, resting on the mountains of Ararat before the water has completely dissipated to such an extent that the ground is actually dry. This is actually something that I think anybody would know if they'd ever visited a lake, and I don't say that in a rude way. It's just, it seems to me like a relatively poor objection. Provided the water is shallow enough and there are rocks underneath it that are submerged, you can easily imagine a situation where this occurs, right? But further still, as we read in verse 5, the waters decreased continually, right? Meaning that the water went down progressively and not all at once from where it previously was. Where was it previously? Genesis 7:20 says 15 cubits upwards did the mountain prevail. Did the waters prevail, and the mountains were covered. Let me redo that. 15 cubits upward did the waters prevail, and the mountains were covered. In other words, the mountains were covered, then they weren't. Hence, in the 10th month, the tops of the mountains were seen, right? So yeah, it's in 100% reasonable, and in fact happens all the time, for a boat to be run aground on land that is still slightly submerged by water. And it also makes perfect sense for the dove not to find any completely dry ground when the boat has been run aground as a result of this fact. And like I said, you see the boat here in the picture, and you see the rocks that are coming out here of the water. The scripture is very clear that the water is progressively declining. I kind of think this is a little bit of grasping at straws, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. In fact, when I first heard this objection, the very first thing that came into my mind was this scene from Pirates of the Caribbean, the second one, where they go on this island. It's full of like cannibals and whatnot, and it's a funny whole movie. But I don't know, maybe people aren't into that sort of thing. At any rate, the point is, they come across the Black Pearl, which is the main character Jack Sparrow's ship, and it has run aground, but it's actually still in the water. It's not actually on the beach, right? At least if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I've seen it. Nevertheless, I don't have to remember it correctly because we have a picture of a boat that is stationary, resting on the ground in water on land that has been submerged by the water. So I really think that this objection is grasping at straws. And I also just don't think there's much more to be said about it. It's, in my personal opinion, the worst objection of the 10. And maybe I'm missing something. You guys can let me know in the comment section below.